Good morning, everybody in Minnesota. Thank you all so much for joining us today. We're delighted that you're here and can spare the time. We realize that you're all very much Zoomed and webinared out, that it's all very tiresome and want to get back to face-to-face. But we really appreciate that you've taken the time today to spend a bit of time talking about the online global programs, the In for Minnesota, and what the online world can give Minnesota exporters in 2022 and beyond. So I'm delighted today that you could be there. Let's get started right away. So first, a quick introduction of who we are as people. We're all on the webcam so you can see us all. So we're delighted today to have Gabrielle Jarreau, Minnesota Trade Office Executive Director. Gabrielle is with us today to talk a little bit about the MTO and just sort of a very brief overview. And then we're going to hear more from Aeli Wiebolt, who's the International Marketing Specialist, who'll be talking about the MTO more and also about the STEP grants, which I know is of great interest to all of you. And both Gabrielle and Aeli are tremendous resources for you in Minnesota. Reach out to them if you have these export issues and can make use of some of their services. They have a very wide range of services. Use them is from our point of view. I'm delighted also that my colleague Andrew Lawler is with us. Andrew is with IBT Online, a business development manager. He's based up in the Midwest, and delighted that Andrew can join us today. And my name is Susanna Hardy, and I'm Chief Content Officer at IBT Online. Next, a very quick word on what is IBT Online. We are a private company, US company, and we've been around for 20 years now, so quite a while on the online world. We're 100% focused on the online world. So we offer websites, online marketing for international companies who want to reach beyond their borders and have a better online presence. We are extremely proud that we have won the President's E Award, which is making contributions to the expansion of US exports. We're very proud of that. And we're very, very proud to have designed these online global programs, which several states now take advantage of, including Minnesota, including your state. And we'll talk about that more in detail about what that means, what the grants are available for that, and how you can best use them to grow your sales, your brand, your business internationally. So without further ado, here's our agenda today. So first, we're going to hear briefly from Gabrielle and Aeli on the MTO, the Minnesota Trade Office, resources for the businesses in Minnesota, and the STEP grants in particular. And then we're going to talk about why Minnesota exporters need online business development tools, why we think you need them. Andrew's going to talk more about the nuts and bolts of it. What is website localization? What does that mean? How do you know that if a website is localized or not? What about international online marketing? What are we seeing coming down the tracks towards online marketing? How can you guys prepare and take advantage of that to really punch above your weight on the international markets? And then we're going to have sort of takeaways and the Q&A session. Please, we're fully dedicated and focused on Minnesota companies today, on you. Take advantage of the time, take advantage of this moment, put something in the chat box. We'd love to hear some of your questions, hear some of your concerns, and see if there's anything we can do to help with that. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over first to Gabrielle Jarreau. Gabrielle?
Thank you very much, Susanna, and thank you, Andrew, and of course, thank you, Aeli, great colleague. Aeli will go into a little bit more of detail of what the trade office does in Minnesota and what we can do for you as a new exporter, an already existing exporter, an exporter to really expand, is looking for a different expansion in their export activities. And she will always talk also about the resources that we have from the state of Minnesota through grants and through any kind of support. However, I just wanted to mention something. When I met John Worthington from IBT Online almost 5 years ago in one of our meetings, it was a different time. This was pre-COVID, so yeah, everything online was very important and everybody had an eye on it, but it wasn't as key as it is today, I think. I think there's been a shift and a swift of truly looking at any kind of digitalization, online presence, and perhaps a deeper dive on how we look from the exteriors. Again, in the United States, English, everybody looks the same kind of in digitalization in websites. The moment you cross the borders, there are certain things you should be taking into account to be successful in your international activities. And when John was trying to explain it to me, it sounded so logical that I wasn't even making the connection until I saw it really in an example. And that's when, and it was something about a company that was exporting to Mexico and how they were adapting their presence online. And that is when it truly hit me. And that's when Aeli and I started to see, okay, we have to inform companies that maybe don't know too much about it, they haven't thought too much about it, or they don't know where to go to find the support. But then we put kind of the resources behind it, because it's very nice to talk about it, but we cannot help the companies really in a, you know, in a more successful way, or in a more specific way to help them get the success they need at the international level on this digitalization, then there is no point. So with that said, Aeli will walk you through the different options you may have to support those initiatives. And frankly speaking, just take a look at it. It's kind of eye-opening, and me even being international, I never thought about the details on it, right? You know, you go to Spain or you go to France, and you see the translation of the website, and it's a little bit more than just a translation. So thank you for joining us this morning. Good luck on your initiatives. Please come and contact us. If it's about ABT Online, please, you have Susanna, Andrew, or always Aeli, or myself, as a matter of fact. But if you're looking at anything else related international, you know, if you're trying to export or trying to help a company to establish headquarters in Minnesota, in the US, it's too much for us. We're focused on Minnesota. Just come to us and let us know. With that, thank you very much, Susanna. Thank you very much, Andrew. Aeli, the podium is yours.
Thank you very much, Gabrielle. So yes, I am Aeli Wiebolt, and I am the International Marketing Specialist and STEP Grant Administrator for the Minnesota Trade Office. And I will just be speaking on the core services that we offer here at the Trade Office with a prime focus on the STEP grants. So as you'll see in the slide on the map there on the computer, those are all of our foreign offices. And so we have representation all over the world where you are able to take part in research projects or find a distributor, do any of those sort of services for free through the trade office. And so that's for small and medium-sized businesses. And you are able to reach out to any of your regional trade managers, and I'll go over that on the next slide to get more information on how you can utilize that, because that's a big digital initiative that we have while travel is still a little bit tricky. And then, of course, we have the export education and training. So you can check our online calendar for the latest. We send out a bi-weekly email. So, you know, we're always at the forefront of your mind. We do offer some great sessions, and we are making strides to get back to in-person. So please do stay tuned. And then we also have our export counseling and technical assistance. And so that is if you have a question on, you know, if you want to sell to Mexico and you have a question on how to find a distributor or anything of that nature, you can call into our trade office line, and I'll put that in the chat here once I get done presenting. And we have 6 different RTMs that are able to help you with any questions that you may have, 5 of them being export and 1 focus on the FDI. And then we also have our export promotion. So that's things like trade missions, trade shows, B2B meetings. So we do have our big annual trade shows like Medica and Arab Health in the medtech sector. We have WATech in the water technology sector, and a few other big ones that we go to. But we're also always looking for new ones. So if you have any questions on a show, or if it would be a good fit for you, please do reach out to us, and we'd love to hear more. And then we also, as I mentioned, foreign direct investment attraction. So not our focus for today, but we do help companies that are wanting to come to Minnesota. And then market intelligence and research. So that goes along with the technical assistance and expert counseling that we're able to help you out with, finding lists. And we have our library here at the Department of Employment and Economic Development. Sorry about that. Then also something that not many people know about, but we do offer certificates of free sale here at the trade office, and you can contact us or my colleague Jackie Geiger, and I'll put all of our contact information in the chat here and get more information on that. And then we also serve as the protocol office for the state of Minnesota. So we work with the governor's office and some other offices to welcome foreign dignitaries and to also work with our consular corps here in Minnesota. And so if you ever need any services, if you happen to have a company reach out that they'd like to come from Italy to visit Minnesota, we're able to help with that. So just give us a call. And finally, sorry, I know this is a lot, but STEP grants, the main focus of today. And so we have two different grant programs, both named STEP. One is federal STEP, and that's for the bigger trade shows like Medica, Arab Health, and WATEC, like I mentioned above. But we also have our state STEP program, which is kind of unique for states. And so that's a little bit more flexible, and you're able to apply for shows that we might not personally be going to, or if you have any B2B meetings in Asia or something like that, you're able to apply for financial assistance to get reimbursed after that activity is completed. And if you could go to the next slide. So before I go into the STEP grant a little bit more to show you what you can use it for, especially website localization, as we'll be talking about today. But here's our trade office staff. You'll see we have people that covered all the regions throughout the world. And then we have our staff that, focuses on the FDI. And then there's me in the marketing. So please reach out to any of us. We're happy to help. And if you don't know who to go to, you can just give me an email and I will connect you with the person that you'd like to talk to. So next slide, please. And there's my information. I'll put that in the chat here. Next slide. All right, so STEP grant, the main focus of today. So, like I said, we have two different STEP grants. So they're both 50% matching grants for up to $7,500, and they were both created to assist eligible small businesses in the state to begin exporting or to increase the value of their exports in a new market. And so funding is available to reimburse all of those successful applicants for things like, trade missions, and that goes for both in-person and virtual. So please, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. International trade shows, exhibits, that's again, in-person and virtual. Foreign market sales trips, business matchmaking, and so that's that can be either through the U.S. Commercial Service using their gold key or our foreign offices. So please reach out to us. We'd be happy to walk you through that. The big one here, website localization and SEO. So we do reimburse for these activities. So that is where this Minnesota Global program comes from. So we are, as Gabrielle said, we didn't even think about it until, John explained it to us, and it really just made sense. And this is a vital tool to navigate the virtual world nowadays. And, it's not going anywhere once the pandemic eases up too. So this is the future, and we're just so excited that this is an allowable expense through our STEP grant. So please, I will put a link to our website that has our STEP grant on there, so you guys can take a look. Otherwise, please feel free to reach out to me. Happy to answer any questions. I know this was a lot of information. So next slide, please. There we go. So this is our contact information. Again, I'll put this in the chat, but just wanted to make sure that you have it. Thank you very much for your time today. Now I'll pass it over to Andrew to talk a little bit more about the website localization and the marketing piece, but I will be available for questions. So I'd love to see any in the chat. Otherwise, I'd love to see emails introducing yourself or asking questions. So thank you very much. Andrew.
Before we go there, I'm going to interrupt. Aeli, thank you so much for your presentation, and Gabrielle also. I want to launch a quick poll. I want to ask people if they're in fact already in touch with you. Just to ask the audience today, are you already taking advantage of MTO services? If so, are you doing it all the time? Are you, you're right in there? Or is it just dabbling occasionally when you still not quite sure what to do here, who I contact, what are these services? I'm still thinking about it. And first of all, major thank you. Virtually all of you, I'm getting a lot of responses, so you're quick on the buttons. I appreciate that very much. So thank you for the big response there. Just to give you a little bit of feedback, roughly 40% of you have used occasionally the MTO services. 60% of you are still thinking about it, and perhaps we can circle back to that a little bit later as well. But in the meantime, thank you very, very much for that poll, and we will have a few others. And thank you for participating there. So I wanted really to talk about. I'm going to steal a little bit of show from Andrew first, and just ask, why we think Minnesota exporters. If I can get my mouse to work, I'll get there. Why we think Minnesota exporters really need business development tools. So here we go. That's my cover slide. Why do you think and I guess getting back to what Gabrielle had said earlier, which is that there's there were trends happening already with pre-pandemic. There were trends, e-commerce was growing significantly. Online marketing was growing significantly. But the last 2 years has really accelerated everything. So really turbocharged a lot of those trends, whether that's working from home, like me, or e-commerce, which even in very mature markets, the US is a mature e-commerce market. In the pandemic, it was growing at 35%, 40% per year off a very tall base. AI is now everywhere. Data privacy is a big tidal wave coming our way. Everyone's gone green. So all these trends have been accelerated, and the online side is what hooks them all together. And these, we thought the internet was ubiquitous before. It is truly everywhere now, globally everywhere. And let me show you some of the numbers that go with that. And I guess with that notion of being everywhere is the other notion that there's this maybe a bit of a digital divide. Companies that are using these things well, and companies who are not yet on board. And that's one of the things that we're here to help with, to make sure that everybody is well and truly on board with that. Oh, I've gone the wrong way. Hold on. There we go. So we want to talk about some of the very large numbers. So this comes from January 22, sorry. We're on a staggering nearly 8 billion people on the planet. 5 billion of us use the internet. 5 billion people use the internet every day. And they spend an average of 7 hours a day using the internet. So 5 billion people, 7 hours a day. And of those 5 billion, 4.6 billion are using social media. And here you have some of the stats graciously supplied by Hootsuite. So these are huge numbers. And I think that for a small mid-cap company, these are very important numbers. They show you that you know where your prospects are, you know where your competition is, you know where your future employees are, your future distributors, or your trade partners. They're all online. And you can reach them through platforms, LinkedIn, WeChat, whatever platform it is. So those numbers, again, 5 billion, 7 hours a day, 4.5 billion on social media. And let's not complicate things too much. I mean, what are these online tools that we're really talking about? I mean, we're really focused on just two, you know, on the websites and the marketing side. Now, websites can be big, they can be small, e-commerce enabled or not. Portals, they can be B2B, B2G, B2Government, all kinds of things. Or they can be simple, clear brochure sites. But they have to exist in all your marketplaces in order for you to have a presence in that marketplace. And then the online marketing side can be very complex and very expensive, or it can be very light. It can be organic or paid, search engine or social media marketing. So lots of different types. But those are basically the hand in glove of those two online tools that we're talking about there. And as I said, they come in all shapes and sizes and forms. You know, the websites, whatever it is, and can be e-commerce enabled, lots of different types of social media as well. But in each case, they are localized. And Andrew's going to talk more about what that means. But everything on the web is searcher-centric and therefore localized. We wanted to, we've got a couple of case studies to share with you and that Andrew will go through. But we wanted also just to say, you know, please, if you're interested in seeing what small and mid-cap companies have done with us, please visit our website. And we have, you know, we've got a lot of things on the website there. There's a lot of videos that you can go on, and you know, we can click the video and you can start it and something like that. And you can just listen to these testimonials from other companies that have been in the same position for you and how they've seen it and their experience. So I think that's one thing you could do. And just say, you know, look at some of the things that they're saying, you know, that in terms of, you know, the page views or, you know, website localization is crucial in this day and age when most of your business is online, that sort of thing. So that's the kind of experience that a lot of companies similar to yourselves are getting at the moment. So to answer our overall question, so why do Minnesota companies need localized websites? The world is online, as I said, 5 billion, 7 hours a day. And also we think that it's more online than ever. If you are trying to sell to a Mexican company or a German OEM, they will check you out. And if you've got a Mexican or a German website, they're going to say, "This is amazing. I understand them. I can relate to them. I can find them, and I can do business with them." So Minnesota companies are really privileged, really lucky. You've got these online global programs to help you with that. Again, there's a page on our website all about the Minnesota online global programs, or you can ask Aeli or reach out to us directly. On the right-hand side of this slide, I've listed sort of some of the major things, how we think that these programs help you. Basically, there's one overriding principle. They all help your top line. They're all about growing your sales. That's what online tools do. They grow the top line. They grow your international sales. They grow brand recognition. They reach new markets. All of those things are about growing your top line. So now I'm going to pass over to Andrew. Talk a little bit more about, dive deeper into what is website localization and what can it do for you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Susanna. Yeah, and I'll just take a few minutes here to dive into website localization and also speak to international marketing and some of the best practices and how it could be utilized and leveraged by Minnesota exporters. So ultimately, website localization is what is it driven by? It's driven by search engines and specifically Google. One of the top questions that we get pretty frequently is, why can't I just use my US website to go global, to reach my global audience? And the reason being is because Google and search engines are localized to individual markets, to individual countries, to regions. And the true answer is that Google has 192 different country or region specific search engines. So the search engine that you and I here use in the US is completely different from the search engine that they use in Argentina and Mexico and Canada and the UK and all of these top markets, and they're all denoted by some of the examples we see here. We see google.ar, we see google.co.uk, we see google.mx listed in these logos here. So they're all for different markets, and they're all going to be relevant to those individual audiences. Ultimately, on the next slide here, we're going to be talking about a prime example of how these different search results come up and are relevant to audiences in the US and also in the UK. So we have an example here on the left side of the screen that speaks to a search result that a user did in Minnesota, which is squeakless dog toys. We typed it into google.com. It's a US search engine in English. And then we also have a few colleagues that are based in London and the UK. And for them, we pose them to do the exact same search. Squeakless dog toys is on google.co.uk, done in the United Kingdom. However, the search results vary depending on where exactly we're at. Here in the US, we get results that we're pretty familiar with. Chewy.com, we've got Amazon.com, we've got Yahoo.com. In the UK, we get results that maybe you and I aren't familiar with. We get things like barksandbunnies.co.uk. We got brandforpaws.co.uk. We've got amazon.co.uk. So these are completely different search results that are relevant for the audience in the UK. However, for my colleagues there that are based in the United Kingdom, this is very relevant to them, and this is exactly what they're searching for. So this is just a great example. Despite us both speaking English, and despite Chewy.com being an international company, they still have no reach because of the different search engines in the UK. So great example there. And just to take it a step further, when we look at, obviously there's nuances that we see within the English language, but there's also many nuances when you look at languages like Spanish. So here's a great example, and this kind of answers the question of, can I just take a Spanish translated website and speak to, all the Latin American countries and all the Spanish countries? Well, this kind of, tells you why you can't do so. And it's because of the different nuances within Spanish. So here's an example of the word car. Automotive has been, we have many automotive clients that we work with that are looking to export to Latin American speaking countries or Spanish speaking countries. So one of the key differences for users within that audience is the word car and how they say it. So in Mexico, they use the word auto. In Spain, they use the word coche. So you can see that when you use one translation, it's not going to be relevant to both of these audiences. And so that's why it's important to create certain and specific content that's relevant to each specific audience. So you'll see on the left side of the screen a pie chart that says, 75% of the users in Mexico are searching up auto instead of coche. And in Spain, it's vice versa. There's 90% of the users that are searching up coche. So it is very important to use the right keywords within those target markets when building your localized websites. And just to speak to, some of the, and this is just some of the, it's just one of the few key points that are needed when building a localized site. There's many here that go into it aside from just translations and picking out the nuances. Just to point out a few here, registered domain names. This is something that we've spoken to. A .com.mx, a .ca for Canada, a .ar for Argentina, a .co.uk. These are things that are a necessity, really, to be understood and to be easily found within these markets. If you don't own these international domains already, I highly recommend that you do so for your company. As an exporter, if you're an exporter, even if you don't already have an online presence, I think it's very important for you to go online, search for your domain.co.uk or whatever your top export markets are, and purchase those, because they do become a pain if other people have purchased those before you. So I would say that's a big takeaway in that. And of course, when building a localized site, it is very important. Multilingual navigation, mobile enabled, being mobile first, and there's many others. And now we're looking at some analytics here for how the websites perform in different markets. We're looking at an Australian website, and you'll see it's an English-speaking.au website, and analytics tell us kind of the true story for Australia. So you can see that about 3,000 of the total 4,000 traffic that comes to this website monthly is from Australia, some from New Zealand, but you can also dive a little bit deeper when you have these localized sites. You can see that there's a large portion of individuals coming from the New South Wales. There's a few coming from Queensland, from Victoria, and you can even further segment and further localize your sites depending on those audiences. We have a few examples here on companies that we've worked with, manufacturers that we've worked with within the Midwest. Armor Protective, this is a company that works with a lot of automotive OEMs and companies. For them, their top two markets were to localize for Canada and China. So what have we done? We've built localized websites for the Canadian audience in a .ca and a .cn in China that speak to those two core audiences that have certain objectives depending on their audience. Since then, we've gone on to build about 6 or 7 new localized websites in their top markets that all speak to finding new distributors in their markets. So whenever they create a new website, they're looking to find and recruit new distributors. And then once they have those, since they've had these websites up and running for the past 3 to 4 years now, they're now able to support those distributors. So once they have a website in these markets, they're now able to say, hey, distributor, we have a website for you to support your sales, to find new leads for yourself, and to generate new exports for the client here in the Midwest. Ultimately, these websites for them is a tool to drive the business forward. And then just to share some of our programs that we've been able to help companies with in regards to websites. We have programs with the MTO and in regards to the STEP grant from anywhere from one localized website to multiple localized websites if you wanted to start there. And we also have packages in regards to redesign. A lot of our clients sometimes say, hey, let's start at step 1, let's start on the US website. Here we have an example of a website we redesigned. Mountain State Oilseeds, and you can see on the left there what the website used to look like and where it does now. So there is a lot of work to be done there, and of course we're able to start in either category. And then also looking at e-commerce. E-commerce has been pretty essential and pretty important, especially for Minnesota companies. We've got a client here, both 2 clients here, Vaporpin and Hartrue, who have decided to take their online shopping cart in the U.S. So they have a e-commerce functionality on their current U.S. website, and they've decided to create that for other local countries. So creating, for example, Hartrue decided to create a localized e-commerce shopping cart for, I believe it was Brazil and Latin America. So it was a completely new localized search engine that is speaking to those audiences, but you're able to check out, in that country's currency and the metrics with all the correct information that are relevant to that audience. So again, another program that we provide and something that's funded by the STEP grant as well. And just switching. Suzanne, please.
Andrew, can I interrupt you a second? Before we start talking about marketing and trends, if I could just interrupt you to launch another poll. just to ask, again, just asking the audience if they have any interest in learning more about these website localization. What does it mean in detail? What are the programs? What are the grants? How do they work? How does the online global program work? Does it mean, Andrew mentioned one market or two markets or redesign or e-commerce? Do they all apply? So if you want to have any of those kind of answers or would like to have some direct contact with us, we can email you resources or direct you towards some online resources as well. So please let us know. And again, thank you very much for being so quick on the buttons. I appreciate that. And thank you very much for that very positive response. We will be getting back to you, absolutely. Right, so I'm going to close that and give the talk back to Andrew.
Yep, some great responses there. Thank you for the engagement on that side. And yeah, I mean, that's ultimately what websites that are localized for your top audiences are made for. This next section is very supplementary to localized websites. It's the next step when you have these international online presences within international markets. And it's all about international online marketing. And so here in this section, we'll be talking about some trends and how they can be helpful to Minnesota experts. Yeah, and one of the first questions that we get asked is, why do we need a social media strategy, not only in the U.S., but in international markets? And ultimately, is it going to be worth it for my company? And the answer, in our opinion, is absolute, resolute yes. Absolutely need social media because it's there to build brand awareness for you. It's there to connect your audiences and really make sure that they find you in a place, in a way, in a time where they're active and they're very engaged. Here on the left side of the screen, we're looking at a chart of some of the channels that consumers use and B2B consumers use when conducting research for potential new products or new services. And these are some of the, I guess, top platforms that are used to conduct this research. So you'll see at the top, you'll see YouTube, Facebook, WhatsApp. There's a ton of different I guess platforms that are used on social media, but it also underlines the importance of creating video content for YouTube or maybe for Facebook for other B2B consumers to understand your information. This not only goes for domestic markets, but it also goes for international markets. Again, it's being in the time, in the place, and the way that your consumer is looking to purchase your products and your services. So ultimately, these online tools here are a way of leveling the playing field for some of these bigger fish in your industries and in your within your playing field, because you are able to create this content that gets right in front of your audience where they're searching. We have a couple of great examples coming up on online marketing in international markets for really a localization leader in L'Oreal. Here you'll see on this first slide a picture and a snapshot of L'Oreal's presence in the U.S. You can see it's very women focused. It's empowering to women, and their international online marketing all speaks to the diversity, the women focused environment that they bring with their products and with their services. We also share a few examples of other countries and how L'Oreal approaches that. So in this next slide, we see how they approach the Mexico online presence. And ultimately, this snapshot that we see here of Brazil, and before we go to Mexico, we're going to be speaking to Brazil. It looks very different. You can see that it's different than what we see in the U.S. You can see it's very relaxed, and it's a very relaxed environment. You can see the ports in the background. You can see the two women there speaking and collaborating in a very casual and comfortable environment. And it gives off a different picture than what you would see here in the U.S. So it underlines, again, the importance of localizing your content per market. And lastly, we can speak to the L'Oreal in Mexico and the presence they have. And this presence, you can see they're in a more in an office environment. They're closer together. They are a bit more relaxed. Again, they're collaborating, and it looks like a closer closer knit environment, and you can see Mexico City in the background. So again, this is just one core piece of how L'Oreal is able to contribute their main target markets, relevant content that's going to be relevant to that audience. And now we can look at some of the analytics behind social media and why it's important to create a multitude of social media posts and also different programs for each of your markets. Here we have an analytics review of one social media post that we had created for one of our clients who in their top 2 markets were Mexico and for the United Kingdom. So this is one Facebook post that was created on 2 separate accounts, one for the Mexico audience, one for the UK audience, and we can see how the engagement came across and how ultimately conversions came across. On the left side of the screen, you can see the amount of people that it reached within each of these markets. In Mexico, it reached an astounding 370,000 people. In the UK, it reached only 9,000 people. On the right side of the screen, you can see the engagement and how these individuals reacted to the post. So you'll see that 344 people in Mexico reacted, liked the post, reacted in some kind of a way, and also shared 20,000 different engagements. So there was a ton of engagement within Mexico. In the UK, it tells a different story. You can see that there's only 13, 14 individuals that reacted to the post and only 1,200 engagements. So just by looking at this view here, you could probably infer that Mexico is going to give your company more conversions because of this post. However, when we look deeper into who actually bought the products and how these purchases came across, you'll see that this chart here tells a different story. Here on the top, you see the Mexico, you see the blue and the red lines that underline the engagement, the amount of time somebody clicked on a post or engaged with that post. And then the yellow and green charts there, you can see how and when they bought the products. So you can see there's a big discrepancy there with Mexico. And when you look at the UK, you can see that albeit there's not as much blue and red lines, meaning the engagement, there's just as much yellow and green. So that means despite there not being as much engagement in the UK, there is quite a bit more conversions that are happening there. So you can infer that in Mexico, in that market, you need a lot more engagement, especially for this client. They needed a lot more engagement to create the same amount of conversions as you did in the UK. So a great example of localizing your content and localizing your post per market and for your separate accounts. And some of the importances of understanding how those metrics work. Here's some best practices that we see for online marketing. Just quite a few. Having a localized website is ultimately step one. Again, online marketing is there to support your localized websites. Understanding your audience, your buyer persona, their buyer's journey. Setting goals for yourself for your social media strategy. They should be monthly, if not weekly goals that you have in regards to getting and attaining a certain level of engagement and conversions, revising, choosing which platforms are worth your resources. A few slides back, we saw some of the most important researchable platforms used for B2B exporters. And those platforms might be relevant to you, others might be more relevant. So understanding which platforms are going to be best, answering all the comments and mentions, looking, analyzing, keep learning, and do not stop. It is a long process. It doesn't happen overnight, and it's something that needs to be done on a very frequent basis to see the results, see the engagement, and see the conversions. And of course, through the Minnesota Online Global Programs and through the STEP grant, we offer online marketing capabilities. IBT Online is here to help your companies with search engine marketing, with social media marketing, the reporting and analytics side, monthly reviews, email marketing, content marketing, and for your international markets. So if you are looking to not only build localized websites, but also create an international online marketing strategy within your top international markets, we're here to be a helping hand alongside the Minnesota Trade Office and alongside the STEP grants that are available. So please feel free to reach out to us. Aeli is going to be a great helping hand for you guys. And also, if you'd like to reach out to either myself or Susanna we're always here to start the discussion and see if the programs are a right fit for you. So with that, I'll be passing it over to Susanna, who will be speaking to the takeaways and some of the Q&A.
Thank you so much, Andrew. Just before we go, I'm going to launch, you know how I like these polls. I'm going to launch the last poll of the webinar. Just sort of reiterating really what Andrew was saying. If you want more information about online marketing, international online marketing, how to level that playing field on your international business, and how to generate leads for your distributors, for example, let us know, and we'd be happy to sort of circle back with you with any answers that we have and any sort of reactions. And again, thank you so much for participating there so actively. Definitely getting the hang of these polls, I must say. Thank you very much for that, and for that very enthusiastic yes, please contact me. So I'm going to close the poll now, and then just sort of circle back. We have also some time there for so Q&A. So please do put some questions have already come in. Keep them coming. We'll try and answer them all. So just wanted really to summarize as much as we could today's webinar. The first is, I hope that we've demonstrated or argued convincingly that Minnesota exporters need to take advantage of digital tools, of online business development tools. And that means websites and online marketing in order to grow your business. The time has passed when we all just went to trade shows and handed around business cards. We've moved on. Remember that slide at the beginning? 5 billion of us are online for 7 hours a day, 4.5 billion on social media for about 3 hours a day. So the world is online, and any prospective buyer is going to check you out on your website. If they can check you out on a localized website, that increases the trust they need to fulfill that buyer's journey. And if you're looking for new leads, what better way is there than having a localized website and online marketing in your target markets? If your aim is to sell into Mexico or Canada, the USMCA areas, why not have websites that reflect that? And you guys are very, very lucky in Minnesota because you've got this great team with Aeli and Gabrielle and the MTO, and you saw that big slide with all the team members who are there to support you on that. So get in touch with them and get this process going with the localized websites and online marketing. As we say, it's get found, be understood, and do business. So those are the online global programs, which we would really recommend that you at least take a good look at and see if they're right for you, see if they can fulfill some lead generation and help you find distributors, feed distributors, and grow your brand awareness globally. So with that, I'm going to turn to the Q&A side, and there's a couple that have come in. So I don't know if I can sort of start almost randomly. There's no particular order to those questions. So I'm going to start with one for Aeli. Aeli, we are a service company. Do the STEP grants apply to us? Aeli, I think you're on mute. Hey, Aeli. Oops, I think she's on mute. Maybe having some sound difficulties. So while Aeli sorts out her microphone, I want to turn to Andrew. There's Aeli. Hi. Are you on mute? Can you hear us? Can you speak? Ooh. Okay, I'm going to turn. Yes.
I can. Sorry about that. I'm experiencing some technical difficulties.
No worries at all. So can service companies apply to the STEP grants, Aeli?
Yes. Yep. So product and service companies, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. But we have, consultants, we have banks, all types of services that apply for this. So happy to help.
Okay, great. Andrew, one for you, if I may. Andrew, we're going to a trade show in Germany in the autumn. Can we get a German website between now and the autumn?
Yeah, it's a really good question actually, and something that's pretty common for trade shows, trade missions abroad is having a website there to showcase your clients. I think Gabrielle kind of underlined the importance of having an online presence to show your clients, your prospects abroad, to show that you're dedicated to that market. And the answer to that question is yes. I mean, it takes our team about 3 months to build localized websites. So, if you were to start today, it'd be done by middle of the summer. So yeah, I mean, the answer to that is yes, and it is very common to have a localized site in for your trade missions, your trade shows, things like that.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Andrew, again, also, can you tell us a little bit about, or I have 2 questions in about local distributors, so I'm going to merge them, just in terms of what role does the local distributor play for a localized website? Any comments and thoughts about that?
Yeah, it's something that I hear pretty, I hear a lot of questions about, and the question, I mean, just to go a little bit deeper into it, the question revolves around what your relationship is with your distributor. Some of our clients have a direct relationship, an exclusive relationship with the distributor, and therefore it's a very, easy step. It's, you give them the website to sell your products, and because they're only selling your products, it becomes a very easy selling tool for them. You're able to throw it back to them and provide all the information that you find relevant within that market. For those that have an indirect relationship, it might be a way to get your foot in the door to sell the products, even though they might be selling other products within your industry. You're able to generate leads to that from that international audience, and then throw the leads back to your distributor to take care of the actual purchase order. So there's really 2 different ways to work through it, but they all funnels are the same way. You're trying to generate leads for your in-market partners, and it is a great sales support tool to do so.
Thanks, Andrew. Another one quite specific. Can you talk more about these URLs and country domain names? What's their importance?
Of course. Yeah, country, top level domain names and URLs. Here in the U.S., we're very, what's the most common one? It's google.com. It's, yourcompany.com, yourdomain.com, and other countries and other markets. They have other domains, other top level domains. So, as it noted in the beginning of the presentation, it's, google.co.uk, yourcompany.co.uk. If you're in Mexico.com.mx, each of these countries have specific domains that are available and that are relevant, and really tells the audience within those markets that, okay, this is a website for Mexico, and it's not an American website. This is tailored for us. It's tailored for that audience within that market. So it is important to have those. Again, if you don't have them already, I would definitely look into them, purchasing them. They are not that expensive in the grand scheme of things, and could be a lot more expensive if somebody else owns it for you.
Thanks, Andrew. One which is, I think, quite an interesting one, a sort of a personal opinion. Are you seeing any particular countries being targeted today with websites for your clients?
Yeah, I think it changes. It's been an interesting ebb and flow with different markets. Some of the top clients, some of the clients that I work with most recently, it's been Latin America. We've been hearing a lot of Latin American interest. China has always been there, but ultimately the two big clients, or the 2 big countries that we build websites for, it's Canada and Mexico. And Latin America is not that far behind, but ultimately those 3 is what I've been hearing lately, and what we've been building websites for.
Absolutely, yeah. I might add as well, Southeast Asia is starting to creep up as well. I think we've built more Vietnamese websites in the last year than we have in the 3 years before that, or something like that. But I totally agree with you. USMCA seems to be the big axis at the moment. Okay, and the last one, are there any, if there's a single big trend, what is a big trend going on now still in online marketing? Is there one thing that you're seeing above all else? Kind of a hard question.
The single big trend that's going on, well, I mean, there's a lot of things that are happening at the moment. Obviously, what is it? Internet 3.0, website, or online 3.0. is taking shape. I'm specifically, I mean, this is more opinion, but I'm specifically very interested in how companies and marketing firms are now able to use coins to manage data and manage how you're able to receive information from your consumers. So I think that's going to be something to keep an eye on. 3.0 is going to take shape, and yeah, it should be pretty interesting.
Thank you, Andrew. And I guess also just more prosaically before 3.0, I guess those videos, certainly a trend that's here to stay. Right, we promised we'd get you back to your desks within the hour. I wanted to give a big shout out and a big hand to Aeli and Gabrielle and the MTO. Minnesota companies are really fortunate for having all these resources at their fingertips and having someone who's always there helping you to guide you along. So, Ailey's email is there on the screen. I think Andrew or Aeli put it up in the panel for everybody in the chat box as well. Reach out to her, get in touch. If she can give any help, she will be. I know she'll always plug you into the right response, the right asset to get through. And then I hope that we've learned something and been inspired to have a look at what your company should be doing with online business development tools to drive your business forward internationally. A big thank you also to Andrew for presenting that big part of the presentation so well and explaining about localized websites and online marketing. With that, we hope to see you all online or offline soon. And thank you all for being here with us today. Thank you. Bye-bye, and see you all soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Everyone.